Get him, get him.
Oh my God!
Calm down. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here.
Oh, yeah, dude!
Dude.
6 pounds, 11 ounces. Oh, 2 points.
Oh my. Limp. That's what I've been waiting for all day.
That's over 6.
True. And that one's. Oh, here he goes.
Go!
Good?
That's a big fish.
Full hand on tail. Yeah, it looks sick. Good to go.
Look how broad that thing is.
I wonder if that was the one that followed me in.
Beautiful. Oh my God. Holy sh! God. What a beast.
Oh, wow. That might be a 4. That might be a 4.
Yeah, it's a 4. You guys show that off too. 4 pounds, 12 ounces. Holy. Oop.
Another good one.
Holy sh! What the? Is that another 6?
Could be.
It's the second giant of the day, proving that point. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Yes!
Big baits, big fish. There we go. 5 pounds, 6 ounce. Beauty. Dude, I'm not even joking. It happened again.
You kidding me?
Nope.
Is it big?
Oh! That's strong.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
That's a fat fish, dude. Come on.
4.
Holy. Dude. Holy hell, that's long.
Yeah, it is.
5, 4, 6. What?
Yeah. Just rock.
Got him. Get in here, you. There's another 6. You. That's a big fish.
6'10". Woohoo! Big old fatty.
Remove ad. And good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My humble abode from Lake Champlain. Dennis knows where I am.
I certainly do.
Which, by the way, so for everybody, we stay at Cozy Cottages in Grand. And one of the things that's great about when we come up in the spring, the water's always up, so it's never an issue. So I was talking to, it's not Alan, it's Alan's dad.
Dave.
Or is Alan the dad?
No, Alan's
Dave,
the younger
thank you.
one.
I was talking to Dave, and okay. So I was talking to Dave, and gave him my check, and I'm like, how's the water level? Can I launch here? And he was like, oh yeah, no, it's fine. Actually, about 4 years ago, we hired a guy to come in with an excavator, and he dug out about 3 dump trucks worth of dirt. So now, like, even when the water's nobody has a problem launching. I was like, oh, all right, good to know.
That's awesome.
So that, no, that's very good. So we'll be able to launch out of here tomorrow, and for the next, tomorrow and probably the day after, unless I interested in going somewhere a little far, and it is more cost effective to tow the boat than it is to drive as far as I did today. But
were you out there all day today?
So, most of the day. I didn't get on the road. We didn't start fishing until like probably 12:30, and then but we were half day. But then we were off the water at 6:30 because Appleton is about 20-ish minutes from Cozy Cottages. We had to stop. I had to get some food for dinner. Quick made up some smashed patties. No buns for me, just meat and. But it was good. It was actually really good. Yeah, that keto diet's working wonders, though. So, all right, first things first, for everybody that's here, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys showing up as always. If this starts getting a little laggy, the Wi-Fi up here is pretty good, but not perfect. With us, please. Beyond that, for those that have not done so yet, please drop a like, whether you're watching here on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching it. It helps immensely. And for the lack of overall video quality part, I forgot one thing, and I forgot the cable that connects that fancy camera everybody bought for us to my laptop. So I'm using this laptop camera, and it is not great, but at least it's not terrible. Chad, that is inappropriate.
Inappropriate band.
And then Chris Gatch, I saw your truck out there. Just we got back so late, and I had barely enough time to eat and get this all set up. So I will swing by to say hi tomorrow We are literally just across from you. So for where
Who
I'm
are you
at,
with, Sean?
Brandon Lyon.
Okay.
Yep. Which I believe right now he's out there retying stuff. Yeah, for those that aren't aware, I'm up here late through Sunday. I'll be home Sunday night. I'm fishing the New Hampshire Bass Nation State Team Qualifying Tournament. And before we get into the open topic night, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. This used to be like the premier kind of event, like tournament that everybody looked forward to up here in New Hampshire. And it usually like had a huge draw. Take a guess how many boats signed up for it this year.
50.
No. Less than half that.
No way.
23 boats.
No way.
I'm not even kidding. I was shocked when I saw it. So
That did they like reduce the prize money or something like that?
I don't know. Oh, Dogbone said, that's probably him guessing. So there is no prize money. So because of the recent changes to the format through Bass Nation as a whole, where now they had that, like, as we'll call it, a super regional that was on Champlain back in July. I think it was July. Yeah. And they kind of did away with a lot of that state level. Like, it's still there, but I don't know, things are just different. Like, you don't have to pre-qualify to be here. Literally, the only pre-qualifications are you have to be a member of Bassmaster and a member of a New Hampshire club that is affiliated with Bass. That's it. Those are the prerequisites. There is no money to be won. Advance straight to the national championship in 2025. 3rd through 12th advance straight to they get a paid spot at the regional in 2025. And regardless of where you end up, your fees are covered for either of those events. So you don't win money here. You essentially still get money because they're going to cover your entry fee into whichever one you qualify for next year. So in a way, you get money. It's like delayed payment. And if, depending, maybe a good thing for me, maybe a bad thing. Like if it's the Potomac, I don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself, but so that's where we're at. John, thank you very much. Again, Chad, inappropriate. Who else did I see in here? Mike, Chad. What is it? Wait. Dogbone, Mike, Kevin, Alec, Mark, Maverick, Daryl, the other Kevin, Mike Bradley, the other Kevin. Thank you all very much for being here. So, quick report. Dennis and I went fishing together this weekend.
We sure did.
It did not go great. We caught 59 fish.
The numbers were. It doesn't matter the size. Let's not talk about the size.
59 fish, and I think we had a total of maybe 13 pounds.
We figured out how to catch those 8 inchers, though.
We did. We absolutely did. So we went back to the same spot that Andrew's nephew caught that 8.14, and I caught that 5.69. And we found one spot where there was a submerged log down in 20 feet, and it had some tanks on it. Couldn't get it to bite. Those were literally the only tanks we saw on active target. And we didn't, I think I caught a handful on active target. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a dozen out of the 59. But other than that, it was just steep rocky banks, and they were kind of hitting a variety of finesse. There's a weekend fishing report. Do better than us.
Yeah.
It won't take much.
It won't take much. No. Yeah, that was it was nonstop, but it was nonstop 8-inch fish.
Yeah. So aside from
bored.
that, ain't that the truth? I think the longest we went without a bite was 20 minutes. Out of the 6 hours we were out there, 5 hours we were out there.
What's on the shelf? Oh, those are beer cans from Treehouse.
All the best kind of beer.
That's right.
Okay, so the plan for tonight is we're doing open topic night. So for everybody that is here, again, thank you. And start firing away on questions. I'm not sure how long we'll go. I don't want to kind of chance my luck here too hard with this Wi-Fi. I'm sure it's going to last for a while, and it should be fine. Haven't had issues here in the past, but let's not take too long. I say, I'll put it this way. It's not going to be a 2-hour night. I just saw that Dogbone. No chance at all that it's going to be a 2-hour night. In the meantime, we're waiting for you guys to fire off questions for us. So for where I'm at in Champlain, Dennis, you asked how it went, how long I was out there. And launched out of Apple Marine. or Apple Island Marine, where the tournament's going to launch out of anyway, because Brandon ended up towing up the Bass Nation trailer for those guys, so we had to drop it off here anyway.
Oh, nice.
So by the time I got here, I beat him by like a half an hour. So I was like, you know what? I got a few things that I can retie anyway. So I'll take my time. I'll get the boat ready. I'll get the, I retied a couple of things, which I'm really glad I did. And then I kind of started formulating my game plan for like, okay, 6 hours. I don't want to do a ton of running. Let's see what we can kind of do in that time period. I ended up running all the way to the top of Isle La Motte from here anyway, which was good because on the way back on the New York side of North Hero, South Hero, there was a decent amount of chop. It was a light south wind, but you know how that goes up here. And I made it from almost the northern tip of Isle La Motte back to Apple Island Marine in 27 minutes.
That is very fast.
Not too shabby given how far that is.
Did you catch a lot?
I was doing like 66 pretty much the whole way. Although, you know what's funny? I will say that what I found was extremely encouraging. I listened to myself from what happened to the BFL just about a month ago now. And not even, 3 weeks ago? Yeah, maybe it was 4 weeks ago. At any rate, I listened to myself, and I had a few spots that I really wanted to take a look at. So I ran out to them. The first spot, I just side imaged. Second spot, side imaged. And then I saw like a stack of fish on some rocks. I threw down on them, nothing. Third spot, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a spot that I fished with Oliver when we were up here 2 years ago. Found it. It was good. My buddy there, Brandon, caught a 4 1/4. So we're like, okay, see you later at that spot. Moved up to the next spot. Caught two good fish, like good enough for out. Literally every spot we ran today took everything that I figured out from the BFL and just assumed that nothing had really changed. So I went and did that, and it went phenomenal. So it was like, okay, 3 spots in a row. They're definitively in this depth range. And then they definitely hit those baits, but I know they're going to hit those. This is kind of something that I think is going to work. Yep, that worked. Put that down. Pick up something else. I think this will work. Yep, that worked. Put that down. Go through 5 other things that didn't work. Pick something else back up that was working. Boom, immediately catch a fish that wouldn't touch the other 5 things. So, a lot of kind of process of elimination that went extremely fast and very good. I probably only caught maybe 10 fish today in those 6 hours. But
you found the stuff.
He's one of those like, we found the stuff. I'm extremely happy with what we found, especially the depths and what they were eating. And I have a story for you later. But the other thing, off air, I don't want to air anything out here on this, but extremely encouraging what I found for a few things. We got into one spot, missed a fish, and then I looked over the active target. I was like, whoa. And I had my drop shot on, so I flicked it out. And I was like, oh my God, that's huge. And it went down. Dude, if I had to take 38 to 40 inch pike.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And I landed it.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Are you going to say, how were you catching them deep or were you catching them shallow, or is that an off the air conversation? Did you find something secret?
I will say, yeah, it was, I'll say it again, extremely encouraging.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Anyway,
We'll
let's get
later.
to some questions. Yes, we will. Northeast Bass Fishing, our buddy Mark. Do you think a warming trend might screw up the fishing up in Champlain for you? No, actually, if anything, I think it's going to greatly benefit me because of where I'm finding these fish, how they're relating to the structure that I'm fishing around, and the depths that they're in. If anything, this warming trend is just going to keep them locked there. If it started cooling off a little bit, then I might be a little concerned. I'd have to pivot a little bit more. But in this case, I'm extremely confident it's going to keep everything very consistent for me. Wait, did I not? Oh, I didn't hit that. I'm sorry. I forgot to put that up on the screen. Hey, in the meantime, everybody else, keep questions coming. And then, Dennis, I have a thing for us that we can do while waiting on questions, too. And then, Grat, are you going for the win or going to play it safe and have a solid finish? I'm going for the win. Like, I'm going out there with extreme confidence that I can do what I usually do up here and get over 20 pounds a day. And I want the win. I don't even
Yeah,
know
why
if
would
there's a
you
trophy
not?
that comes with this. I don't care. I want the win.
23
That's what I
boats.
want.
Like that's different than fishing in a tournament with 100 boats.
100.
Like
Yeah.
you could beat 23
But it was like
people.
119 last year, and then only 80, I think, this year at the BFL. Now there's only 23. But so, it's one of those, especially where we're launching. There's a lot of areas I like to fish that are pretty far from the ramp, but not too far, especially in the nitro. Right now, the weather, wind, and everything looks like extremely favorable to allow for a lot of running and movement. I'm hopeful that some of the other spots I found a little bit closer will pan out better. I got a lot of largemouth water to cover tomorrow. But that this last BFL did not go well for a number of reasons. And I don't even know if I talked about it when we did like the follow up to it, but I was out there Friday, day before, and it was like 1:00 in the afternoon. And I was literally laying down on my front deck of my boat because I was so lost and I could not figure them out. I had 2 spots I knew definitively I could catch them, and that was it. That's not the case this time because I know what I learned from that, and I went and ran that pattern, and yep, literally every spot we pulled up on that matched that situation, we caught like damn good fish. So
You're targeting smallmouth, you think?
a little bit more largemouth spots, and then go and try and run more of those same spots, and
Yeah.
use all that to go for the win.
Good. I like it.
Last one here that we have at least starred for now, and hopefully we get some more good questions coming.
Time to start throwing
No,
A-rigs.
and can't. Bass does not allow A-rigs, and as this is Bass Nation, it is part of Bassmaster. No A-rigs allowed, which is actually really unfortunate because, damn, if I had an A-rig, I bet you we'd crack them right now. And when we went through the gut to go over to the New York side, it's actually pulling pretty good current through there. And I'm not gonna try and go fish those community holes. I know how that's gonna go, so I don't want to bother. But we were going through and looked at Brandon. I was like, you know what? Tomorrow goes like it as well as it did today. I brought him all my A-rigs. We're just gonna come out here and have fun. He was like, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely the fall. Like now is definitely a good time to start doing it when they're schooled up and they're eating bait. They're on bait. Anytime they're on fish, white bait, it's a good time for A-rigs for sure.
Yeah, true. Oh, there we go. John had a really good question. How many spots make it? I think I already said this, but I'll repeat it. It was 12 places. First and second go straight to nationals. Third through 12th go straight to the regionals. And wherever you end up inside of those 12 places, then your fees are covered for whichever one you make it to, which is awesome. At least there's that. Boat potato. This is not a question, it's a statement. Remember, Sean, it's Champlain Sea. Found fish today, not Saturday. You're not wrong.
Yeah, that's true. The pattern is the deal, not the fish.
Correct. And that's the thing that I've always been exceptionally good at. Yeah, it sounds arrogant. I don't mean to sound arrogant. I know I'm good at going for patterns. I don't go particularly for spots. I don't chase down a single fish on active target. We were drifting a lot with the wind, and if I saw a fish, then yeah, I cast at it, but I didn't chase a single one. I tallied up my best 5 today. I probably had 17 or 18 pounds, and that was without really trying. So I'm extremely encouraged by that. But I'm good at patterning, and that's something I really learned to really count on a couple of years ago. Not the spot, but the pattern. And that's what I'm going to do. That's what I did today. We found exactly what we're looking for. So, unless there's all of a sudden some crazy mix up with the weather between now and then, I'm feeling pretty damn good about it.
Yeah, and I mean, even like those fish over the course of this amount of time, they're not going to swim 20 miles away from where they were. So, like, yeah, you might have to shift, you might have to slow down or speed up or something, but like you found yourself starting points.
Yeah, and you know what? Caught them on like 6 different baits that I have an extreme amount of confidence with, and of those, 3 of them I caught them a number of different ways on those baits.
Is it a
I really
jig?
don't care which way the weather goes. One of them is a jig.
A jig, and a jig.
Just one jig. A jig. I guess one might be, but not really. But really, like it was location and cadence, and like the wild thing is, once you figured out that bait and that color that they wanted, that range of cadence off that presentation was really wide, and that's what we found out kind of by accident at first. And then I was like, well, let's keep trying that, and it kept working. I was like, good, okay. So regardless of what kind of conditions they end up being in this weekend, as long as there isn't some weather that just completely shuts them off, again, I feel really good about what's going to happen, or what can happen. So there's that.
Right. It's gonna happen.
Michael
I
Brown,
believe in you.
confident, not it. Appreciate that. Daryl, drop shot, straight fluorocarbon, braid, fluorocarbon leader length. Oh God, drop shot. Oh dude, braid to fluorocarbon leader.
100%.
100%.
There's
And then leader length.
There's almost. It depends
No,
on
go
what
ahead.
you're doing. But
Finish your thought.
Like there's almost nothing on a spinning rod that I'll do straight fluorocarbon now. Like even the only thing that I could think of would be like a spy bait or something like that, where you want to sink it down and have like your line be level. But that's like a very specific scenario, and even that I feel like you could get away by just tying like a 30-foot leader. Like I don't really, after fishing braid to leader on a spinning rod, like it's hard to go back from that.
I only heard half of what you said because my stream kept lagging out, but whatever you said, I'm sure was absolutely smart and spot on. So I'm not going to question it. As far as leader length, just the leader itself, not the tag. It's funny, we were talking about that today. On all my spinning rods, it's braid to a fluoro leader. And on everything except for my drop shot, it's about 15 feet. Because your wingspan, fingertip to fingertip, stretched way out, is as wide as you are tall. I'm 6'2". So when I tie my leader, I just grab it and I spread my arms twice, and then I put the spool to my chest and straighten out one arm out. It's about 15 feet. Works for me great. When I do a drop shot, I do 20 to 25 feet, especially when I'm up here on Champlain, because more often than not, I'm fishing a little bit deeper. I don't mind having a little bit longer fluoro on there for my leader because I can still feel them just fine. I'm usually casting pretty far away from the boat. It's not like I'm vertical dropping in 20 feet and I've just got nothing but fluoro out there. But dude, your tag gets so ratty, you're going to break it off when you're throwing 6 to 8 pound. Like I always throw 8 pound. So you're just constantly retying it. And especially when you fight a good fish, that's an automatic retie every time. So even with a 25-foot leader, you had a good day in a drop shot, you're still going to retie a whole new leader on there at some point in the day.
Yep. Yeah. I would say like my average is like probably 15 to 20 feet of leader, but I won't change it until it gets down to like 5 feet. And then it's like, okay, now it's too short. It's obviously too short.
Yeah. I did see Shocksmaster jerkbaits on spinning rod, straight 10-pound fluoro. I will throw 10-pound fluoro on a spinning rod, but I will usually grab one of my rods that's ideally suited for it, where I'm kind of knocking on the door of needing to reline it with braid, and I will just spool on like 100 feet of fluoro onto that. And I may end up having the knot out in the water when I'm fishing like end of the year, really, really cold, like through the winter, coming in early spring, but I can make that work, and then I don't have to deal with all that memory. That's the biggest problem. Spinning reel, I have yet to have found a single line that didn't have terrible memory issues.
Oh, you're frozen. You froze
No.
for a moment. Oh, you're back. You're back. Okay. For me, BFS has replaced throwing things like that on a spinning rod. Like if I'm fishing a jerkbait, I'm either fishing it on jerkbait rod, or if it's too small to throw in a jerkbait rod where you would normally do a spinning rod or something like that, I'm with BFS now.
Yeah. Did I tell you I caught a fish on BFS with Andrew?
You did.
Our last trip out?
I'm very proud of you. Yeah.
I did. I saw a fish right below us in like 45 feet of water. And I was like, quick, grab a Tamiki. And Andrew's like, BFS is right there. Just drop it. I'm like, okay. So I dropped it straight down, and I ended up catching a 2-pound largemouth, and it felt like a 10. It was amazing.
Did it make you a believer?
I was always a believer. I only have so much money to spend.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Hey, boat potato. That's not a bash on in any way. It's just the truth. Especially if those fish were on bait, and especially up there, they just disappear or shut down with a switch. Need a million numbers up there. Yep, no, wholeheartedly agree with you. And what I found, I'm confident none of them were specifically around bait fish. As far as like smelt and alewife go, I am specifically chasing after yellow perch eaters, and those tend to be much more consistent
Yeah.
because of the way those fish tend to relate to the areas that I like to fish. They're just always there. So, granted, might not quite find the size that most people want to go out and target, but I'm confident in the size that's there. All right, keep those questions coming. In the meantime, while we're waiting for more questions,
what's the other alewife? They have alewives up there, right? Like it's a lot more volatile when they're on alewife than it is when they're on perch. I feel like perch kind of like sit in one basin or one area.
Oh yeah, wholeheartedly agree. Yellow, especially yellow perch. They kind of find their happy spot and they stay there forever.
Yeah.
Smelt and alewife, those bastards, they're all over the place.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially smelt.
What's your special thing? I'm ready for it. I'm excited.
So I am going to take this from a recent stream that I was a guest on, and he had a really good idea that I was like, you know what, we should integrate this into the live streams, especially when we do these open topic nights, because it made for some really interesting conversations, and it's an overrated or underrated. So I'm going to throw something out, and I want to know, and chat, by all means, get in on this too. I want to know if you think it's overrated or underrated, and why. I want to hear.
Okay.
So especially from you being in the boat recently, and you've seen it because you don't have it in your boat. This is the only time I'm going to bring this topic back up, by the way, everybody that's watching, because we're sick to death of this conversation. But from this perspective and this style, this format, it's going to work. Dennis, forward-facing sonar, overrated or underrated? Now you've been in my boat and seen it in action a little bit more.
I would say, yeah. I mean, you know that I don't like it. Like, so for me, I understand the use for it, and I would say it's underrated if catching fish is absolutely like a must. Like I understand having it if you're in a tournament that like you have money on the line, you have to catch a fish. If it's allowed in the tournament and some people are going to have it, you need to have it because it's a disadvantage to not have it. If you're a guide, you need to have it because there's no replacement for aiming that thing around and being like, there's a fish there, and I know that my bait is right in front of that fish. For me, I don't need to catch a fish. Nothing happens if I don't catch a fish. I don't lose money. So for me personally, it's overrated because I don't want to stare at the screen when I'm out there. I want to like hang out and look at nature. So like I think it depends in my mind on like if there's money on the line. So I would say both. Me personally, overrated, but I understand it being underrated if it's a must to do well that day.
See, that is about as a level-headed response as you could hope for out of anybody on that. Which, by the way, I'm drinking some really, really good, what is this, Vermont Ice. It's bourbon with a little bit of maple syrup in it.
Oh my God.
It's good.
So you're gonna wake up at 11 a.m. tomorrow?
No, I'm having a very small amount, and I had a very large ice cube in it to kind of water it down because I don't want to drink a lot. I just want just a little nightcap. That's all I need. Yeah. Although I'm still gonna make my bed and I'm still gonna finish the boat away and everything. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, you'll get there. You have plenty of time.
What do you got for me? And again, everybody that's watching, by all means, keep throwing it. One about swim baits. We'll get to that one next in a minute. But keep throwing us questions, please.
Yeah. So
you got one for me there? Overrated, underrated?
For you. What's that? Are you frozen? Am I frozen?
I say, just that. You got one for me?
No, I do have one for you. So mine for you is throwing big baits in a tournament. You think that that's overrated? Or you think that that's underrated? You think that not enough people are throwing big baits in tournaments?
Oh boy. So this one's tough because I'm going off of my personal experience while also understanding the experience of others. And I personally, my experience, I'm going to say it's overrated. Unless you get just the right kind of big bait. And sometimes you get fish on it, but more often than not, it's just to make them show themselves. But 99% of the time, even when they show themselves, you can't catch the damn things anyway. But I also think they're underrated because I know some tournament guys, and there may or may not be one of those guys here in the chat that have used them very effectively in tournaments to not only get the right kind of fish to show themselves and get then go back in and catch them, but actually catching them on those big swim baits, specifically a very big glide. I would say to the average angler, overrated. Like you're out there to try and catch the 5 heaviest fish that you can. And yeah, a big glide is absolutely worth it to an extent because it will get you big fish when they do bite. But
they have to bite.
500 casts on a glide.
Right.
Versus you go out there and you throw a jig and you're going to get, one fish every, well, it depends on the day, but more often, you know what I mean? Like you go out there with 10 other traditional just techniques and you are going to catch a couple of fish at the bare minimum for the day. And more often than not, you're going to do really well. So, you take that big bait out there and you're truly swinging for the fences, and rarely does it ever pan out. So overrated, unless you are really, really, really dedicated to your craft on that, especially on a very, a lake you've fished a lot and you understand it, then I would say it's underrated, but more often than not overrated.
Good answer. Very good answer.
That being said, I brought all my big swim baits.
Of course you did. I knew it would have. I knew that would rear its head at some point.
I love it's. They're not huge, and the only reason I did is because DJ did some pretty magical things with some big swim baits at the BFL. And we were talking about it after. So when I was coming up to this, I was like, oh, okay, if these fish are holding up like in the exact same areas and the areas are going to look like the sub areas of those areas, then like that might play. And they're just crankdowns. I would love throwing a crankdown. It's a giant crankbait. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm bringing those. And I'm 110% going to chuck them. I got to make sure I time on for tomorrow because where we're going to look for largies, one of them dives like on average like 3 feet on 20-pound line, a really strong cast. I get it down 4 feet. And I got another one that's slightly smaller that'll go down like 6 feet. Ooh. I'm not throwing any of my pats though because too many pike.
The pike will know. I could see it like on Saturday if you're sitting with 17 pounds or something like that, and it's like I'm just catching 3 after 3 after 3 after 3 after 3. Like that you're just gonna get continuous threes. Like why not throw it and see if you get a 4 or 5?
Yep. Nope. Wholeheartedly agree with you there. Oh man. Okay, we're going a little bit out of order here, but we're gonna take this one. Favorite crankdown? Need recommendations. They're very, very, very hard to get your hands on, but I really do like the Pat swim baits. But some of my 2 other favorite crankdowns that I have, because I've caught way more fish on them, is from DEFCON. And a guy named Rich, he's out of Massachusetts. I don't even think he makes them anymore. And good. And I've caught a ton of fish on those. One's a 7-inch 3-piece that goes down 2 to 3 feet, 4 feet on a good cast, lighter line. And then he's got a 6-inch one that go down, like 5 or 6 feet. Tom's Custom Baits. He sent us a couple that I have been throwing here and there. The swim on them is fantastic for what they do, and they crank down really nice. Just haven't had any luck on it, but that's not the fault of him. That's at the fault of me. Just I haven't been throwing a crank down as much really the last year and a half up until very recently. And then Mr. Tightlines, actually, his Perchzilla is very, very good. I've got one of those. And Mr. Tightlines, you could definitely get your hands on those guys' crankdowns. With luck, those are a little bit harder to find in the open market. DEFCON, I don't even think he makes them anymore. Toxic Baits, the Wade Hog, like that's a really good bait. That's kind of like a wake and crank, but it does crank down. I had one of those. I liked it. Pretty much anything Piz makes, awesome. But again, you're going to pay a premium for that. So good luck getting your hand. Those are all the ones that I have used extensively that I can speak a lot to when it comes to like big crank down swim bait.
I have one.
A lot. Mark Siggs, favorites finesse swim bait. Dennis, that's you.
Oh, my favorite finesse swim bait. I mean, it depends on the situation. If I had to pick one, it would be a 3-inch Megabass Spark Shad. I think that Megabass Spark Shad is a little less erratic or a little less extreme of a kick than a Kitech. A 2.8 Kitech is amazing and works for everything, and I've caught thousands of fish on it. But a 3-inch Spark Shad is, if I fish them side by side in the spring, I will catch like 3-to-1 on a Spark Shad over a Kitech. So I would 100% go with that. I do want to say my favorite crankdown though. I don't fish as many big baits as you, so I'm not going to list out 100 because I don't even think I know 100. But the one that I do catch a lot of fish on is the DRT Tiny Clash. That one I use that a good amount. It's not enormous, but it's very, very, very good. And it's one of those ones
That's
where
my bad. I forgot that you've been throwing those.
Yeah, they're really good, and they have like different tails that you can put on them, so you can use it as like a glide, you can use it as a crank down, you can use it as a wake bait. So like it can do a bunch of different stuff, but they're very good. They're a little bit of a pain to get, but you can definitely get them. They're like $100, so they're not even that expensive in regards to like if you're comparing them to other swim baits.
Mint.
Mint.
Okay, so you got 2, and then my favorite finesse swim bait. Boy, probably a Kitech. Very, very closely followed by the Slow Flow from Beast Coast Fishing.
I haven't
a lot
tried
of good
that.
colors, and like, dude, in cold water, they're just, you can't beat them. They're so good. His plastic formulation, for some reason, works exceptionally well in really, really cold water.
I will try it.
Can't explain it. I just know it does. And yep, and he got him out a little bit late for that winter bite, but I tell you, yeah, this winter, which actually plays really well into the next question, those things are going to play extremely well, and I'm only going to need 2 colors. It's going to be great. And then segues perfectly into this next question from Shocksmaster. For both, when do you outright stop fishing shallow, say 10 feet or less in the fall, which is, boy, I'm trying to think of when I would put a water temperature to that, and I want to say when it gets upper 40s. It's weird because I've had plenty of really good days, even when the water being 45 on some smaller ponds, shallow, like stupid shallow. And even on some of the bigger ponds, still getting some like really good fish, stupid shallow. I
don't know that you can assign a water temp to it, like because we've caught them in 42 degree water in 5 feet of water. Like I would say it depends on the day. Like in the fall, go where the bait is. So if you're up shallow and you're not getting bit, and assuming that you have some sort of 2D sonar or whatnot, as you're driving from spot to spot, if you're seeing them out at like a bunch of bait fish out in 25 feet of water or 20 feet of water, like that's when I'll usually do it. I usually try shallow first in the fall because that's where I want them to be, because that means that they're actively eating. But if it's not happening, you're seeing bait out deep, that's usually what would trigger me to stick out deep.
Yep. No, I agree. And actually, John the Vesk, I'm looking through at the other comments while you're talking, and he made, where'd it go? It just jumped. I was about to click it. There it is. Depends on the lake or pond. That really, like, once we get middle of October, I stop fishing on the small bodies of water, and it's just more consistent, like less susceptible to those shocks from the really cold nights.
Yeah.
And typically I can find much bigger fish anyway, and I like fishing deep. So it really does depend on the lake or pond. But if I had to pick, I can't give you a water temperature, but I can tell you end of October, early November, like that's when no longer in 10 feet. I'm working the bottom of steep banks out in deep water, or I'm, working well off the bank. Maybe not well off, but
I know what
you know
mean.
what I mean.
I get it. I'm with you.
And John, thank you for confirming that DEFCON is no longer made. Yeah, boat potato. You have to be very efficient and know what you're doing in those big baits, in my opinion, to even put them on the deck in a tournament situation. Ain't that the truth? Oh, Kevin asked you, do you have 360? I mean, I know the answer, but they don't.
I do not. I do not have 360. Sean has 360, so I've used it. I like 360. That is probably, for my own personal boat, that is probably like as far as I would go regarding like advanced sonar. 360 is cool. This just shows you what's around you. But yeah, I don't have it. I do have side imaging, so I have like, I guess, a version of it, but I don't have 360.
It's nice. Like, side imaging gives you that 10,000 of the lake. 360 gives you that 100-foot view of the lake. Forward-facing sonar is your magnifying glass. Right. So I like it. Like, I literally did that today. I went to a different spot, hadn't been to, close to this fish, but I had not been to this specific spot near here. And side imaged over it and started seeing a lot of the kind of rock that I like to find in the right depths. It's like, nope, good enough. Shut the motor off, drop tow motor, and then that's where I'm like, now I'm standing over the top of it and looking it over. And it's one thing being on, side imaging, you can kind of really see where all the rocks are and how they're related to others and their distance between them and everything. But then when you really get see it from the top down on 360 from where you are and exactly how everybody's kind of positioned to one another, and especially relative to like where the drops are, because as you go from one depth down to the next, that shading is a little bit different. It's like, oh, okay, those three rocks are actually right at that knuckle where it goes from 25 to 30 feet, and like that's the thing I like about it. And then I can literally put my rod across my screen, be like, yep, it's over there 50 feet, and throw at it. I would say, man, 360 is worth its weight in gold. And I know a lot of guys that I've talked to when they got forward-facing sonar, they're like, I don't even use 360 anymore. There's no point to it. I got forward-facing sonar. And I've always never kind of understood that. It's like, man, like 360, I can see everything all the damn time.
Yeah,
it's especially
like a photograph.
Yeah. And especially when you're towards other areas that, you're gravitating outside. You're drifting outside of an area you already know. And you just get a little bit further out. And all of a sudden, like, you're still kind of looking at these rocks over here to the left that you're fishing. But all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I didn't know that was over there to the right. You can see that, and you can just throw that over there while you're at it. Like I've caught a lot of fish and a lot of new spots that I never knew about. The place on 360, I go to the spot I've always known, and I'm like, what's that over there? How did I not know that was there? Shame on me for not adequately side imaging at that time too, but I don't know. It's nice when you don't want to just go there, sit behind the steering wheel all day. You want to fish your way through the lake.
Yeah.
It's like, you pick it apart while also seeing new things along the way. Apologize. Yeah. Apologies if I already said it. Leader knots. You and I tie the same one, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I'm trying to think of what it's called.
Alberto?
I think it's Alberto. Yeah. Where you go like 9 ties in one direction and then 9 ties in the other direction. Or 9
I'm
wraps.
pretty sure it's Alberto. Yeah. I always called it a blood knot to begin with, and I think the blood knot isn't too dissimilar, but Alberto knot. There you go. Daryl said the same thing. Wait. Yep. Come on. Alberto. There it is. It was there for a second. I like it. It's easy. It works. Learn to tie the FG. I know I was talking about that with you.
You get frustrated with it a little bit sometimes. I've seen it.
Again, I can't tell if it's it's got to be the knot. If it's the line combination like you've mentioned, or if it's specifically the rods that I'm using, but that doesn't make any sense. It happens on all the different baits that I have. It's got to be that. Oh, you know what's funny though? I threw my spinning rods almost exclusively today. Like I was really focusing on a lot of lighter stuff today. And not once did that shit happen. Where it would catch the stripper guide and wrap around all day when I was out there with you on Sunday. Didn't happen once today. Never once
Maybe
got
it's
caught
me.
up. Didn't break off a single one. Maybe it is. But yeah, dude, I didn't have any problems with it whatsoever. It was great. I went and looked at them all, and I was like, I tied them great. So, but I mean, looked at it when we were out there Sunday, and you're like, yeah, you tied that great. And it was still having an issue. It's weird.
What else we got
We
here?
miss.
Read the leader now. That's all that. Somebody just said Lawrence has a version of 360, but you need to have a ghost trolling. That's true. So I've tried that on mine, and it kind of sucks. Like it's not that good. Like you basically
It's not the same.
Yeah, you basically so you get side imaging on the transducer on the trolling motor, and you basically program your pedal to press a button, and then it it turns in both directions, and it gives you like an image that looks like 360, but it's not constantly reproducing that image like 360 would. It's just like a snapshot of this is what it looked like when the trolling motor was doing that. And obviously your trolling motor then is out of commission because it's doing that weird left and right thing. So I don't know. It's not as good.
Yeah, it's like a wiper mode.
Yeah, I don't like it.
No, I got excited when I saw that Lawrence had announced that. Like, we're getting 360. I'm like, oh, all right, that's actually cool. Because as much as I love the Humminbird Omega 360, if Lawrence came out with their own version of it, I'd go with that because it'd just be easier to be able to waypoint everything. And then I saw what it was. It was literally what you explained. I'm like, yeah, no, never mind.
Right, that's not 360. That's like it's round side imaging.
Right. Because I had the 360 for a couple of years before I ended up getting forward-facing sonar. We found a good rock pile. We'd cast at it, or whatever we saw. We catch something good. I had to drive the boat over so I could get over the top of it so I could mark it. And now, like one of the other side benefits of forward-facing sonar is if I see something on 360, which I can see with much better clarity and a greater distance than I do my forward-facing sonar because I'm not using it, I can point the forward-facing sonar over at it and then just waypoint it from 130 feet away. I'm like, all right, sweet. Go back to fishing over here. I must have done that 100 times today.
It's a good system.
I found a lot of rock piles I was very happy with.
That's what a good system does. I like it.
It all works so harmoniously.
You got a tournament question here.
Yeah, I did see boat potatoes, but I don't know of anything going on way south, which, yeah. But Mark did ask, what's the tournament going out of? Apple Island Marine and South Hero, which is actually nice being able to go out of here. So hopefully, last I checked, the wind forecast looks extremely friendly for this. So I am mucho happy about the location. Plus, it's right down the street from Cozy Cottages, and I love this place. Price is right, super convenient. There is a gas station, grocery store, tackle shop combo, all in one parking lot, like 5 minutes down the road. So you can't.
And a pub.
And a pub. Yeah, actually, you know what? I was thinking about going there while we're up here. Maybe we'll do that Saturday night, so I don't have to cook anything. That way we can just get off the water. Oh wait, no, I'll have to come back here to drop the boat. We take Brandon's truck back over because I won't be able to park the boat over there. I'll figure it out. One way or another. Yes, very close to some good frogging opportunities, but I'm not, dude. I don't know what it is with me and topwater, but we are just not friends right now. I was in an area. I already caught 2 good fish, but pretty far apart in this one area I was working. And then the conditions look good. I'm like, you know what? Like, I should be throwing a topwater. Like, if they're really here and I'm trying to figure different, I should be throwing topwater and figure out something a little different for what I would normally do. That topwater up there is everybody does it. So I was like, yeah, no, this is smart. This is good. This is a great idea. Picked up a topwater rod, fired out without conference. I'm like, yeah. I didn't get it halfway back to the boat. I looked at Brandon. I'm like, this sucks. I can't do this. It's like, I don't have the confidence for this right now. I tied it back up, put it down. You know what it is? I don't know. I used to have such good luck with it and used to do it so much and so confidently, and I haven't had a good topwater bite in like 5 or 6 years now. So it's like anytime I think about doing it, I'm like, nah. Although
I had
Probably gonna do
a,
some cranking
I had a,
tomorrow.
oh yeah, deep.
Yeah, based on.
Okay, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Don't give up your secrets. I had a pretty good topwater bite on a pond near here, near our house, earlier this year.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, but it's like I don't know. I'm the same way. Like it's one of those things where you know that it's so good and you know that the reward is so good, but like I'm almost at the same point where like I'll do it and it's like I have so much more confidence in like a spinnerbait or a chatterbait or something that like I've caught so many fish on a topwater, and that day I probably caught like 6 or 7 of them on a topwater too. But it's just like while I'm doing it, the whole time I'm thinking like I would probably be catching more if I was throwing a spinnerbait right now. So like I don't
Yeah.
know. I feel the same way.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny you bring up the spinnerbait because going southwest today, I believe, and it wasn't bad, but it was fairly choppy out there. And we got into this one windblown point and it cracked good smallie. And I was like, put that down and pick something else up. And I looked at Brandon. I was like, I desperately want to pick up a spinner, but that wouldn't be smart because one, wind forecast this weekend looks great. Like it's not going to be a whole lot of wind, and it's right now. So if I get into a spinnerbait bite, I don't think that that's going to continue to hold over because we're not going to. And two, because of that, there's no point in me working something that I'm confident is going to work right now, just to sting a bunch of fish that I need to have just in case. So
Yeah.
I did not pick it up, but oh God, don't you tempt me with a
Don't tempt me.
blustery day in a spinnerbait because that's one of my favorite
Yeah.
things to do. Find a
Me
windblown
too.
shore and just beat the crap out of it with a spinnerbait.
Yep, me too. Me too.
Don't tempt me with a
What
good time.
brands do you guys like for spinnerbaits? You go first, because then nobody's gonna like my answer.
War Eagle, cheap. They're very flexy and spongy. You will break a lot because of how flexy and spongy they are, but their ability to be when you just kind of pop your wrist to give it, impart a little bit more action out of it is actually really good. Or opposite side of that is Rocky Ledge Tackle, based out of Pittsfield, New Hampshire, if memory serves correct. They're also very, very good, very durable spinnerbaits. But because of how durable and just stiff they are, they lack that secondary action that you can get out of them when you pop it. Something a little bit more flexible. When you pop it, it's like whoop, but you can't do that on a Rocky Ledge. You pop it, it's still sitting like in that perfect, bent out form. So you can't get a little more out of it like you can, a cheaper brand spinnerbait. I've tried a couple from Mega Bass and I've liked those too, but pretty much War Eagle and Rocky Ledge Tackle are all I really throw. Some Strike Kings too here and there.
Mine is a depths spinnerbait. I love the depth spinnerbait. It's $25, so it's expensive. But
Oh my God.
I know. But it's got the right wire combination where like it's strong but it still flexes, but the blades on it are like paper thin. So it's like it vibrates like crazy, and because they're so thin, you can burn it. So like it when you burn it, it doesn't blow out like some other spinnerbaits do. I've caught many, many, many fish on a depth spinnerbait, and nobody else really throws one exactly like that because they're $25.
Well, I'm gonna go out and buy some. So
There you go.
and actually, I feel bad about this, Kevin. How are the Defiant spinnerbaits? I don't know. I haven't had a chance, and I really haven't had a good spinnerbait bite in a while. So I have this box full of spinnerbaits. So I haven't any in it yet, and I keep thinking about it. Like I've picked up spinnerbait a couple of times this year, and every time I put them up, I'm like, dude, I still have those Defiant spinnerbaits, and I haven't ordered them yet. I will say they look phenomenal. I've heard really good things from a few of the other guys on the team that have been fishing the heck out of them. But I say personally yet. Then, Kevin, what blades do you prefer, Dennis?
Yeah, I mean, when you're in Clearwater, and most of the time we're in Clearwater, willow blades are the answer. So almost always willow blades for me. If I'm there have been some situations where I'm fishing really cold water And, you know, in the winter, the water gets a little more murky, and then I'll do like a single Colorado blade or something like that. And I've had some good days doing that, really slow rolling it. But 98% of the time, I'm double willow blade.
You're going to slap me. In true Snover fashion here, where I try to see the best of both worlds and everything, and try to see everything from both sides of the coin. Spinnerbait has Indiana blades, which is right smack dab in the middle between a willow blade and a Colorado blade.
That's fair. That's fair.
I
like willow blades. Just, I mean, but we also fish differently. Like you fish typically. I don't mean this to sound mean, but like you typically fish things that like more slowly than I do. Like I fish very fast on everything, and you can't burn an Indiana blade. Like when I fish a spinnerbait, I'm like, I'm ripping that thing and like burning that thing back as fast as it goes. So you can't really do that unless you have willow blades. So that's also probably the major reason why I like willow.
Yep. Don't get me wrong. I like willow blades. Like everything from War Eagle I throw has willow, double willow blades. I do have an amount of custom built spinnerbaits because of the color that I was looking for. And I think I only have 2 left out of the 30 that I ordered several years ago.
What color is it?
I ain't gonna say. It nobody throws it. I am like one of 2 people that I know that fish it. People. I'm one of 3 people total that I know that fishes this stupid thing. And I know somebody that fishes something literally the exact same, and like their color's even dumber. And if you saw it, you'd be like, "What is?" But I cannot begin to tell you how many big fish I've caught on that. And I'll put it into situations that make 0 sense, color wise, conditions wise. Though for spinnerbait, like, this is the right time to throw it. And I've been fishing with friends that throw like very natural colors, specific to that situation, and the one I have will still outfish them. Just at that point, if you're in a really good spinnerbait bite anyway, you're gonna draw them in from that thump and everything. But I feel like this color just kind of like really sets them home. They're like, I don't know what that is. About this is telling me I need to eat this because holy hell, look at that thing. And
interesting. I used to
be any more descriptive about that without giving it away.
When I was a kid, I had a spinnerbait. I don't remember who made it. I don't even think that the company is around anymore. But I got it at like Zyla's in Merrimack, like when Zyla's was in business, and it was like bright chartreuse, like straight flat chartreuse, and the blades were chartreuse, and it was like. This is the brightest thing. Like I caught so many fish on that thing, and then I eventually lost it, and now like I've never seen another one like it.
Yeah, so it's funny because I remember buying stuff from there, but I don't remember where mine came from. Oh, Northern Bass Supply. I forget why I was in there, but I grabbed it and it panned out. A guy local that was making them. They sold the company, and the guy that bought it apparently liked to do instances a lot and lost the business. So then like I had one left, and I ended up reaching out to my buddy who fishes the other wild color. I'm like, who makes them? And it was my other buddy. He'll make them for you. You just tell him what you want. It's like, yep, cool. And maybe it was 20 I ordered instead of 30, but regardless, like you just they don't make these anywhere in this combination. It is a very unique combination, and it's I like it. But to your point about that chartreuse one that you got at Zyla's, God, what was it? I think it was a Walmart.
Somebody just put it in the chat. Flex spinnerbait. That's exactly what it was. It was Fleck brand. That is exactly what it was. I love that.
I remember that company. Yeah. Walmart. They had. You remember that striking buzzbait you could find at like Walmart and other places like Zyla's, and they had a chartreuse, a white, and a black. Like 3 different colors, and it was that like triple bladed buzzbait. No, I think I said spinnerbait, but I meant to say buzzbait. Like, dude, that thing is dumb. Like, it's cheap. It doesn't seem to do well in the sense of like, I don't know. It's just weird. It's one of my favorite buzzbaits.
I like that. It's good.
It works. It works great.
Simple, but it works.
Yep. Did we miss anything else? Dude, I love open topic nights because we've already been at this for an hour, and it felt like 20 minutes.
I know. I'm at 856 on the chat. High pitcher. I like the high pitcher as well. High pitcher from OSP is very good. Gold plated willow. I like nice baits. What can you know? It is what it is. Everybody has their thing.
You bougie bitch, you. I only fish megabass. Everything.
That's not true. I fish some OSP and some depths. Nano braid, or what brand do you like? For me personally, I use Suffix 832 on like everything. Suffix 832 10-pound braid is what I have on almost all my spinning rods. I've tried other things. I've tried Sunline, and I've tried like the Daiwa J braid and stuff like that, and like those are all good. But I don't know. Suffix 832 is pretty cheap, and which goes against most of the other things that I like. But I don't know. It works for me. I bet you're going to use a very specific decimal point of. No,
other than based on what you and I were talking about recently, like especially the casting troubles I was having, and like that has nothing to do with the brand, because it has literally happened with everything, whether it was Power Pro or the Daiwa J braid or the Defiant smooth casting the braid. Like it literally is the same problem, period. So it's got to be the way I'm tying my Alberto knot. I'll figure it out. Some days it's not an issue. Some days it is the biggest issue, and I can't get around it. No idea. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Defiant smooth cast. Sorry. Yeah, smooth. Yeah, Defiant smooth casting. Smooth casting and soft casting always gets. It's the Defiant smooth casting braid. Zero complaints with it. The only thing I will say, if you're going to shop for that, I find it was better for me if I shot diameter versus actually get the pound test, because the pound test on the very light end of things, I think, is a little off. But when I was just comparing diameter from Defiance, basically just go up like 4 pound test on what you think, and then you get the diameter closer, because Dennis and I have talked about this 100 times now. And when you're tying braid to fluorocarbon leaders, like having the diameter of the braid to your fluoro, having them as close as possible to each other, you run into far less issues. If your braid's way too thin compared to your fluoro, like it just causes headaches you don't need. Yep. So that's the thing I'll say about the Defiant. Other than that, I have had zero complaints. I lost count of how many spools I had over the last 2 years, but this year I bought like the Magnum spool for both. What did I get? I got 16 or 18 pound and then 30 pound. So the smaller one I use on all my super finesse stuff, and then the heavier stuff I use in like my heavier spinning gear setup. And nothing to complain about. Prior to that, I used the Daiwa J braid, and I like that stuff too. But I do really like the Defiant.
Yeah, the Daiwa J braid is very, 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 very thin diameter. So like you got to be careful with that, because if you have too much of a discrepancy between the diameter of that and your leader line, it's just a bad combination. You run into issues.
Yep, agreed. We're going through. Oh yeah, Maverick, little mag trailer. What you got?
You want me to go first? I would say the one that I've been using the most recently is the Raid Egu chunk, which is like it's like a small body, but the claws are really big, and it has like a good amount. It almost has like a chigger craw action to it, but it's a little bit more like muted than a chigger craw. Like it's not flapping like crazy, but it's got that same type of action. It's just a little bit more finessey.
Yep. No, I follow you. Boy, for me, it's either Strike King Rage Craw or the Flip into Light from Beast Coast Fishing. And really, the amount of action both of those baits is pretty much the same, just that the Rage Craw has got a little bit more volume to it. Like because the claws come out and then cup, versus on the Flip into Light, stick straight out. So you get a little bit more profile at Rage Craw. You get a little more streamlined, very aggressive action out of the Flip into Light. Those are my absolute two favorites. The Christie Craw is also very, very good on the back of that. But that's one weird in the way that the action is, and then especially the way the legs stand up when it does hit. And granted, a little magnet just kind of goes falls down after the head hits. But still, the way the legs on that Yum Christie Craw, like that's very much, I found a trailer that works extremely well when they're biting it on the fall. If they're biting it when it's on the bottom, I the Christie Craw. That's where it really just is not favored for whatever reason. Strange.
You also should match your trailer to the conditions. Like if you're fishing cold water and you don't want a lot of action, you got to pick something that isn't going to flap like crazy. Like you don't want to use a chigger craw in super cold water because that has too much action, or a rage craw or something like that. Like you want to use something that isn't going to move a lot.
Which is why I like the chigger craw in really cold water. So you do get a little kick out of it on the way down, but then when it falls, the legs just stick straight up.
Yeah, I said the wrong thing. I meant rage craw, but I said chigger craw. You know what I mean.
But like literally, if I had to pick like true crawfish trailers and nothing else, it'd be a rage craw and a chigger craw, and that covers me literally all year long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need anything else. There's ones I like to fish that are all kind of similar in those same veins as far as like how much action there is versus how long there is. But again, if I only pick two to live and die by, it's gonna be the rage craw for something really loud and has a lot of action, and then the chigger craw for it's much more about the pro as the action.
I like it. I like that a lot.
Favorite wobblehead baits?
Oh, I love that question.
I don't know, I like them all.
Yeah, you can use anything. It's I view a wobblehead as a combination between a shaky head and a football jig. So on a shaky head, like I enjoy. Oh, hold on, my wife is making an appearance with the baby. There they go.
Oh,
there he is.
Hi, baby Jackson.
So I view it as like a combination between a football jig and a shaky head. So my favorite thing is actually almost like a creature bait on there. Like I'm sure you could use like a Zoom creature on it. I like the OSP Doe Live Shrimp 6-inch because it has a lot more bulk and it has a lot more like dolphin kick action rather than like a ribbon tail action or something like that. And it's just like a different look. I think that dolphin kick, not a lot of people fish something that does that. A lot of people fish something that is either a straight tail worm or a curly tail worm. And this is like a weird in between thing. So I feel like I get a lot of bites on that when I'm behind other people that I think are throwing a big worm.
Yep. Oh man. Strike King makes a wobblehead it's weird. Like the head design on it's kind of weird. It's almost a football head, also kind of like a grass head. And I was fishing those recently. Yeah. And it's nice because it works for everything. So it's kind of like an archy head, big head, where it still kind of stands to help lift that hook up behind it, but
it's pointed
still
in the
slides
front, right?
through the grass. Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool. Been using that a lot. No, there's a good. I really like those. As far as baits on it, Beast Coast Flipping Delight, awesome. Strike King, Rage Bug, awesome. Pit Boss, Yum. What's the craw? What's the help me out here? What is that?
A Yum craw?
I think it's Speed Craw.
That's Zoom.
Zoom, thank you. I was like, that's why I was throwing myself. It's not Yum. The Zoom Speed Craw, like any of those are all freaking good in the back of those. Then
Yum used to make a good craw too. I can't. Was it like a money craw or something like that? That like they used to make a good one. I don't know. They probably still do. I don't know.
That's like vaguely familiar to me. It's not quite kicking in, so I don't. It's not there for me. I can't remember. Moving on. You're Rock Dennis, by the way. Awesome addition to the show.
People like me. Thank you.
Keep giving us your dirty secrets. All right, hang on. We got one or two more, and then we can call it quits. Kevin, when should a craw trailer be used? When should a swim bait be used?
That's a good question.
I had to be careful with this. All right, give me a second because I I know the answer to this, and I don't want to give it up because it's something that took me a long time to figure out. And it's something that I've closely kept to myself for that reason.
So
Because there
I'll
are
go.
very
Well,
specific situations
while you think
where
of
it
it, I'll
matters.
go. I'll give my thought then. So I will not speak to when you're fishing rocks or when you're fishing deep, because I think that is an experimental thing, and that probably plays into a lot of what Sean will talk about. But when you're fishing shallow and you're fishing grass and you're fishing something like a swim jig and you're trying to choose between a swim bait trailer or a craw trailer, the way that I look at it is, are you fishing the swim jig basically like a spinner bait where you're casting it out and you're reeling it all the way back to the boat, and that's your strategy? If that's the case, more often than not, I will use a swim bait trailer because I want that consistent action and I want it to imitate something that would swim like that through the water, which would be a fish, and a swim bait imitates a fish better. If I'm intermittently reeling it and then stopping and fishing it through a little grass and then reeling it and stopping it and fishing it through grass, that's usually when I'll go to, so like, not that a swim bait trailer won't work doing that, but that's when I would start with a craw trailer over a swim bait trailer. But deeper rock situations, there's different forage out there. That's an experimental thing. I don't know if you want to touch on that or not.
No, you covered that beautifully, and I don't like copping out a little bit here on answering questions like this, but I can't think of a way to explain some aspects of this without giving away some of my hard-earned secrets. So I'm just, you guys are gonna have to live with it. We give you 95% of what we know. This is part of that 5%.
Yeah,
Staying with us.
You can say just experiment with it. If you're fishing a jig,
yeah, that's the big
and you're using a craw trailer and you're not getting bit and you feel like they should be biting a jig, it doesn't make sense that they're not biting a jig, try a swim bait trailer, and vice versa. It's an experimental thing, and there are situations where you'll figure out, like, ooh, like light bulb moment, that like, oh, it's not working when I do that, but it's working really well when I try this other trailer. Like, you just have to experiment with it.
Yep. All right, unless I missed any other ones, I'm going to say, oh, okay, there's one more from Kevin. We can get to this. Yeah. Okay. So from Mark again, cast or wobblehead, are you retrieving it like slow rolling a crankbait? Yes, actually, quite often. Say maybe necessarily that fast, but it's more like a really, really slow, steady reel, just to kind of, it's still kind of making bottom contact, but you're almost like skimming across the surface, and that head is just crashing, like punch every single rock, and that bait is just dancing wildly behind it as you're doing that. I have the most luck doing that with a wobblehead, but you can just work it like a regular jig, and that dependence of the hook from the weight being able to just kind of swing around. You do one little twitch, and it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, that's another benefit of it. But I like that kind of slow, real retrieve to it.
Yeah. I start doing something similar to, you can obviously, it's like a jig, so you can fish it like a jig. But if you think of how you fish a football jig, where a football jig, you're kind of like really slowly dragging it and then stopping and then really slowly dragging it. I'm doing that motion, but faster. I personally don't move. I don't reel it like you do. Like, I do the same thing, but I do that with the rod. So I'm doing rod length pulls where I'm moving my rod level with the water and then stopping and then moving my rod and then stopping and then moving my rod. But I'm not fishing it as slow as you would a football jig. Like, I'm moving my rod so that it's gliding on the bottom each time.
Yep. No, that makes sense. So I used to do that a lot. And why I moved to reeling was because I'd sweep the rod, and then as I'm trying to go reel in all that slack to get ready, I'd feel dunk. I'm like, oh crap, I gotta catch up, try and get back to it, and I miss it. I may or may not have got a good one, but more on that later.
You gotta get that high speed reel.
Yeah, I know, and it's funny because I just don't have enough high speed reels, man. I need more. I've got like 5 of them, and it's not enough.
They work in most situations. Did we miss anything else? Did we get everything?
Last one here from Kevin, deep jig. I tell you what, I'll let you going last on this, so you can have the parting thought on this.
You think it's a question, or you think he's just saying deep jig, and that's it?
I think he was just.
Deep jig.
I think it was a question. Favorite deep jig, half-ounce topwater sniper or a 3/4 ounce max feel. It's gonna be 3/4 ounce max feel tungsten football jig from Beast Coast, which is like that's a traditional skirted jig. It's a big meaty meal, and then 5/8 ounce like is really stupid good. So like those three, and they're all football jigs. But if I'm fishing deep, I'm usually going to football. Usually not much vegetation out there anyway. I want to find something that's going to hit and stand that presentation up for me.
I agree. I obviously don't fish a jig as much as you do, but when I do fish a jig deep, I like the open water sniper, especially if I'm not around a lot of grass. Half-ounce is usually where I'll go. I prefer the one that has less strands in it. I don't know what is that called?
The MB, MB, yeah. And then there's like a bunch of different versions of that. But basically, if there's an MB in front of it, then that's the 22 strand, the lesser strand count versions. Yeah.
So I like that. I think that having less strands on it helps it get down there a little bit faster, if that matters to you. But I feel like it works better even shallow with the less strands. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But yes, I agree. Yeah. Open water sniper is my number one football jig by far.
Okay, last but not least, Dan, thank you very much, buddy. We appreciate you wishing me good luck here as I go after this state team qualifying tournament. We're going to have to call it quits here because for some reason my laptop is not charging and I've got a sliver of battery left. So if we don't call it quits now, then at some point this is going to die on me right in the middle of the stream, and I don't want that. So do you want to take a crack at doing the outro that Andrew would normally do for the sign-off? And before you answer that, I will say that starting next week, we'll be back to normal, back at my house doing the streams. And for like months, many months, I have no more travel plans in the middle of the week from this point forward. So back to normal, like 100% normal starting next week. So you want to do the sign-off?
I mean, I can try. I don't remember at all what Andrew says. But I will say, if we didn't get any of your questions, message Sean at Reel Northern Bass or message me at Bass Fishing Dennis on Instagram, and I'm sure we will answer whatever you want. We probably still won't give you the things that Sean doesn't want to answer in this in this video.
A little something for myself.
We'll give you a little bit more. I don't remember Andrew's sign off, but the stream is every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on YouTube/Reel Northern Bass. Is that right?
Almost there. Almost.
YouTube.com/Reel Northern Bass.
/at Reel Northern Bass. Because YouTube changed the way things
about it 18 times on every sort of social media, so there's no way that you could possibly miss it.
Dude, StreamYard was giving me all sorts of fits this morning. I'm like literally trying to do this 5 minutes before I got on the road this morning. And it was like, failed to post to Facebook. Please try again later. And then my phone goes off. Ding, Reel Nothern Bass has created an alert. And I'm like, but it just, okay, well, I'll hit retry. Failed to do it. Ding, another thing. Reel Nothern Bass is going live. I'm like, okay, StreamYard, you're saying it failed. You're showing that there is nothing there, but Facebook has clearly accepted it, and it's showing now there was like, I think 4 separate events created for the stream on the Facebook page. I'm like, God damn it.
That is the best. It's just a typical Wednesday.
Dude, I was like, I just want to go fishing. Let me get the hell out of my house.
All right. Until next Wednesday, everybody.
Yes, sir. Everybody have a great night. Thank you for all chiming in tonight. That actually went great. Like we had a ton of viewers, almost that whole show. It's been a while since we did one of those. So I'm glad we got to get that week. We'll figure out something special other than just doing a recap of this tournament, and we'll take it from there.
Tournament win recap next week.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Have a great night.